Why do human beings worship other human beings? Get a chair. Let's talk. So, when I tell people I love K-dramas, the first thing they assume is Niga namu jua atake atake niga.
Brother,
But Agyo is the least of my concerns when it comes to the things I dislike about K-pop. And the biggest on that list is the idolization of Korean celebrities. Granted, they signed up for it. They knew what they were getting themselves into. And also the fact that this is kind of like the backbone of K-pop itself. But it's because of the negative effects it has on the lives of these celebrities that I don't like it. And just common sense, for heaven's sake. They get extremely polished, squeaky clean public images that basically makes them appear like an idol. The citizens and netizens worship these people to the same degree they are willing to turn around and bash them in case of anything. Why am I bringing all this up? I've been looking into something called the illusion of authority and competence. And being a retired cycle fan myself, yeah, I've been a believer. Yeah, I've been a Swiftie for like a side quest a few months. Once upon a time, even in the church, I did worship those men of God because they told me that, you know, they speak to angels more than they speak to us, and they could see Michael descending from the clouds to deliver a message on a pale horse.
It only happened once, and it will never happen again. Nelisha, why? So what? So what you want to know?
I have been in many places where I have considered other human beings to be so much better than me, to a place where it was worship.
Do not let people think you do not belong. Once you sit at these tables with folks with fancy titles and you talk to them and you go, oh, they ain't all that. This idea that somehow they are so special, they're so smart, they're so sophisticated. Not really. They've been exposed. They've been given the confidence of feeling like they belong. But if you sit down and talk to them, turns out, that's my point. And the benefit for Michelle and me, because we came up, and at each stage, you know, you go to Harvard and wow, it's Harvard. And then you find out, oh, Harvard's full of some fools and people that you would not put in charge of anything, but they're there. And there's some really amazing, brilliant people too. And then you go to the US Senate and you look around and everybody's represented, smart people and dumb people, good people and bad people. Now suddenly you're meeting at the group of 7 world leaders are all in a room, or the United Nations, and oh, same thing. Turns out that there's some really smart, amazing world leaders, and there's some fools running countries.
Yes, the illusion of authority and competence. It's the assumption that people with complex job titles and huge tasks that have been entrusted to them are more qualified than the rest of us because of, you know, who they are and what they do. Episode 1401, Navigating the Kenyan Film Industry.
I actually realized that I can do anything. Like, I am very capable of doing whatever it is that life, especially job, that life throws at me. Okay, a minute you can do this thing, you can actually do it.
For context, Judy is starting out in the Kenyan film industry. This is her first genuine gig in film. She's just finished Nairobi Half-Life, and that's the discussion they're having in this episode. And there are several principles I drew from that story. Again, remember, the main theme of this is that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happens to them all. Now, when time and chance happens to you, how are you going to make the most out of the opportunity you have been granted? And there are several principles I have drawn from her story, and let's break them down together. The first thing is she never said no to an opportunity.
So do you think this is something you can do? I was like, yes.
Do you know the answer?
Yes. No. Actually, it's funny because kuna mtu aliniambianga hivyo. Aliniambia, Judy, do you ever say no to an opportunity? No, you don't say no. You say yes, and then you go learn as you do whatever it is that you need to do. Because I would have very easily said no to Nairobi Half-Life.
Yeah.
Because it was an art department. Kwanza stories of props, kujenga vitu nini. I was like, hey. But I was like, no. Mimi nataka tu kuingiza mguu wapi?
Done.
The film industry. So for me, I knew that was my way of doing that. I knew I just need to get my feet into the film industry.
Yes.
From there, I'll figure my way out.
I've said no to many opportunities. The first one I remember saying no to was a call back I got to work with a certain production company, but they needed me to go on set on Sundays. And back then I was a Sunday worshiper, so I didn't go. Regretted it later, but I said no to that. I said no to another opportunity I had with academic writing because I got convicted because of the ethics of it, me doing the exams for a potential doctor. I believe that's not what she's talking about. She's talking about opportunities that avail themselves, number one, within your interest and something you genuinely want to have. And the only thing standing between you and your opportunity and that opportunity is you feeling qualified or you being qualified. So she insists that you take the job and you learn on the job. She did not just take that job and become complacent. She was excellent. Give me $1 every time I say complacent. Anyway, she was excellent.
Do you know, Richie, I did such a good job that by the end of the film, the Naya, our head of art department, actually wanted a meeting with me. Tukae tu chini, aniambie going forward, kazi zake zote ananitaka kwa department yake.
What?
Yes. I remember actually one time, Naya called me and she wanted to buy a particular pickup and she was calling me for advice. I was like, what?
Not only was she excellent in her execution, so in previous episodes, she talks about the work she had to actually put into making sure that she did this gig right, the research, working over hours, blah, 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 you know, talking to neighbors, talking to friends. She actually did put in the work, and she not only put in the work, but she did a good job with it. And not only did she do that, but I believe she was also a pleasant person to be around. Why? Because most of her gigs, she got them by referrals. Now, there's a scripture that says that a good name is worth more than gold. It's more precious than gold.
Were you talking to people, asking people, what is there anything happening?
No, the crew walikuwa wanaona ile kazi huyu msichana anafanya. So the crew became my
pals.
Yes, na wao ndio walikuwa wanasema kunihusu.
Kuna mtu najua.
So these guys that you're working with, hao ndio wanapeana stories zako huko nje. Ukisikia sasa wanatafuta producer wanasema kuna kasina kanaitwa Judy, ni kanoma, and wanapeana number. So that is how I got all my gigs.
Now everything I've listed is free. It happens to everyone. You can choose to say yes to an opportunity. You can choose to work hard at it. You can choose to be excellent. You can choose to be a good person to be around. And I am just telling you, it's within reach. When the opportunity comes, don't waste it. And for heaven's sake, stop making excuses.
This is your first job. So it's not that, experience is my excuse, I've luck or whatever. This is not your field. This is not editing. You took the opportunity that was presented to you. You had very many excuses not to do it.
Yeah.
You took that opportunity, and that opportunity honestly became not your stairs, your elevator.
That's true.